I want to talk about something that happened in 2017. That is essentially an event that happened to you that very much, I would say, at the very least, changed how you do business.
Yeah, and so, it was the September 11th. I was out doing a truck inspection. I had been in pain for days, and actually weeks. The pain had got so bad that I could barely stand up. My wife kept saying, "You need to go to the hospital." I wouldn't go. I had a Saturday. I mean, I work 7 days a week, but it was a Saturday truck inspection. I'm going out to do it. My wife says, "No, you need to go to the hospital." I said, "No, I'm going to do it." She's like, "Well, then I'm going with you because I'm afraid you can't even drive." So she went with me, sat in my truck. I went and did the inspection. When we got done, she's like, "Would you mind just going in and I bet you just need an IV." So she tricked me. I think, okay, well, maybe I just need an IV. I'll be good to go. I went in. Turns out that I had stage 3 colon cancer. They had to do emergency surgery on me. I had a lot of complications. I was in the hospital for 3.5 weeks with a pipe down my throat for a large part of that time. The doctors were telling me at that point, they couldn't tell me whether I was going to live or die. You reflect on something like that. And the crazy thing was, and this is the honest to God truth, I wasn't worried about me. I've lived a great life. I mean, I've really enjoyed my life. I've enjoyed every aspect of it. I'm happily married. I'm married to the lady that I met when she was 15. We've been married all these years. I got 3 wonderful kids. But where I was at, I would certainly miss my kids, and I would feel badly for how that would affect them. But we weren't where I needed to be. And it kind of like, I guess there's different ways to look at it. I looked at it and said, I'm going to step things up. I'm going to make my firm grow. I'm going to make sure my firm survives without me, because my fear was my firm would not survive without me. It would break up. It would go out of business. And you're like, my gosh, you work so hard to get to a certain point in your life, and then all of a sudden you lose all of that. It just disappears. And so, I stopped, and I honestly was running meetings out of the hospital. So I had a room next to my room. I would go out with IVs, and my CFOs would come and meet. I started turning the page while I was in the hospital, saying, here's the plans I'm going to make to grow this business and move forward. And before I ever even got out there, before I even knew whether I was going to survive or not survive. And then I went through 2 more surgeries. And the bad thing about our business is the word started leaking that I was sick. And so defense lawyers were saying, well, Dave won't show up. Dave's dying. I remember going into a huge mediation, and I went in. I could barely talk because of the thing had been down my throat. I was really weak. I sat with my client and the defense lawyer, and we had mediated. This is a second mediation, and the defense lawyer came out and asked the mediator, said, "I want to see David." And then the mediator's like, "Why would you want to see David?" Said, "I just want to see him." And so I walked out, and he goes, "You're not looking so good." And I said, but if you know me well enough to know that my ideal way of dying is in a courtroom after the jury goes back and takes the verdict. And I go, so I'm going to show up, and I will be there, and I will, unless I don't make it. And then I actually they settled with this, thank goodness. But I had a trial, and I went into a trial case. I could barely walk, I could barely talk. Tried another one where I got like a $1.7 million verdict on a case that was a really small case, and that they offered it $30,000 on. But you do those things because you love it. But that did change the way I looked at life. I looked at it and said, okay, you don't know what tomorrow brings, and I accelerated. It wasn't long after that that I was at a conference down in Miami where I decided to hook up with CRISP and start doing business with CRISP. But we looked at it and said, we need to grow our business so that this business survives. And we've now started selling shares out to my younger attorneys so that they will be invested and grow. I started immediately sending all my lawyers out to the best trial schools. And so, yeah, we've accelerated our growth. And it was really a blessing. It's a blessing in a couple of ways. One is that, again, I look at it and say, I now know how my clients feel. The clients that are sitting in the hospital not sure whether they're going to live or die. I know what they're going through. I can relate better to them. I can probably communicate that better to a jury, having lived it. So I'm very grateful that I got to have that experience. In addition, it helped me look differently at our business.